Joining us now is Michigan Congresswoman Haley Stevens. Congresswoman, there's so many moving parts right now, and we're staying on top of them, but your initial reaction when you heard this tragic news, how did that affect you?
Look, it takes the wind right out of you. This is a level of political violence that, unfortunately, we see happening in this country, oftentimes isolated. My heart breaks for Rep. Hoffman and her family and what happened to her and her husband. As well, that was Rep. Hortman, but State Senator Hoffman, who he and his wife are now in critical condition. And it's been sobering, and we need to be united in terms of standing up to political violence and to putting up guardrails so that we don't continue to see this level of violence.
And do those guardrails extend to conversations within the halls of Congress about security for both parties' members?
Yeah, certainly this is a nonpartisan issue, and ratcheting up violence needs to be taken very seriously. There are certainly, as you mentioned, things unfolding around this case, but there are 2 lives lost, and there are 2 in critical condition, and there is a hunt underway. And of course, understanding what led to this is going to be deeply important, but also just standing united together. And this is where I think, and I hope, our Congress comes together, because this is, I'll tell you, in Michigan right now, people want to see us united. This isn't about one party or another. This is about taking the temperature down, Alex.
Let me dig in a little further into the security aspect, because NBC News reports a call yesterday between House Republicans, the House Sergeant at Arms, and Capitol Police leadership about security concerns. It got tense that rank-and-file members said they're worried about their safety, particularly when they're home from Washington. They want the same protection from police that House leadership gets. Do you and other Democrats have similar concerns? Should House leadership be doing more to protect its members when they are away from Washington?
Well, we need to come together, and I know that folks are reaching out and asking these questions. I do get that as a member of Congress who certainly loves representing people in Michigan. It's, a beautiful Father's Day today here, but it's eerie because of what happened in Minnesota. It's eerie that Rep. Hortman was murdered alongside her husband, and that family doesn't get to recognize Father's Day in the way that they should be doing. And people do ask about these matters. And look, we want to be responsible and effective with the taxpayer dollars, but with ratcheting up political violence, that just can't be tolerated. So I remain very confident that we will reach a unified solution here in terms of how we invest and how we move forward. And it also starts, frankly, with dialoguing together. This is sobering, it's heartbreaking, and it is still playing out.
Is there going to be a different mood there on Capitol Hill when you return to Washington? Do you think there's more that can be done beside merely condemning this kind of political violence? We hear that all the time, that these things are condemned, but what about the action?
Yeah, and it is not just about saying that we should come together. It's about actually doing so. It's about not playing political games. It's about seeing every elected official come together in a way in which we can denounce this level of violence without pointing fingers. And I do have a lot of questions, and this is where I want to work with experts. I want to listen to law enforcement as we continue to respect their role in playing out here. And frankly, we continue to see the unification coming out of the state of Minnesota with the entire delegation denouncing in a unified voice what occurred. We know that this is likely bigger than just political differences. There are things that we need answers to, and we do need to talk to experts.
Michigan Congresswoman Haley Stevens, I know we had a number of things we were going to talk to you about given this breaking news. I thank you for turning on a dime with us, and we'll have you back and do so again. Thank you.